Call to order this meeting of the First Five Sacramento Commission for Monday, April 3rd, 2023. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and establish a quorum?
Yes, sir. Chair Cerna.
Here.
Commissioner Sneeringer is out. Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia is out. Commissioner Gordon.
Here.
Commissioner Casirier.
Here.
Commissioner Katari is out. Commissioner Wirtz.
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy. Don't see him. Commissioner Hassett is also out. Commissioner Turner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Evans.
Here.
Commissioner Gross.
Here.
Commissioner Callejas is also out. And Commissioner Moak.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Do you want to go ahead and read our statement?
Sure. This meeting of the First Five Sacramento Commission is cablecast live on Metro 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communication, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Friday, it must be April 7th, at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/metrocable14. And just to note, we will only have 5 voting commissioners today.
All right, very good, thank you. Commissioner Moak, will you do us the honor of leading us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, I'd like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's commission meeting. And again, as a friendly reminder, if you wish to address the commission on any item on our agenda, you're certainly welcome to do so. We only ask that you please complete a speaker slip and give it to our clerk, and we'll call you in the order received. And you're welcome to do so on any agenda matter or an item that is not on the agenda. You can also address the commission. So with that, I know we have a full agenda, and I think we should get right to it. So our first item, please.
Item number 1, approval of February 6, 2023 draft action summary.
Okay, any commission member wish to make any changes or comment? If not, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any public comment on this?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Chair Cerna.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Casirier.
Aye.
Commissioner Wirtz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Very good. Our next item is, as was just noted, the public's opportunity to address this commission on any item that is not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are you in possession of any speaker slips?
No, sir, I am not.
Okay, very good. We'll then move on to the Executive Director's report.
Lovely. Great to see you all this afternoon, Commissioners. I have a couple of things to highlight from the report. First is our racial equity, diversity, and inclusion updates. So on March 1st, the staff participated in our second of 3 Ready retreats. We are learning and positioning ourselves to really be able to hit the ground running and implement the new strategic plan and work on the things that are currently in our Ready action plan. Also wanted to share that the First Five Association, in their efforts to center Ready, have given me the opportunity to present our strategic plan, both at the annual conference, which is our statewide gathering, and then at a Ready Learning Community, which is an online workshop that we hosted. They hosted, and I got to speak and share our efforts around strategic planning and how we sort of did things a lot differently this time around, and shared a lot of resources with my colleagues who were very interested in it. First Five staff also participates in a county-wide interdepartmental racial equity group, a work group. We have staff from multiple departments, so mostly social services departments in this group. We get together monthly, we share resources, we brainstorm, and really the focus is on changing county-wide systems to better improve our services and supports for our residents. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to join one other member of that group to be on the part of the selection committee for the county's RFA that's out right now to bring on a community-based organizational TA, technical assistance provider. So we hope to, those applications are due, and we're going to be reviewing them in about 2 weeks and have someone on board to help us with our community-based organizations. These are grassroots, BIPOC-led and run organizations, so it's pretty exciting stuff.
If I could just interject, Julie, that's all great news, and I just want to remind our commission that this is something, in both instances, the meetings of the department heads, as well as the RFA that's going out, that is a function of the resolution that the Board of Supervisors passed declaring racism a threat to public health. So it's good to hear that, again, that resolution is not somewhere in the dark gathering dust, but is being put into action.
Definitely. And I'm just super excited that I have a small part to play in the county-wide work that's going on. So, and it is going on. Wanted to just say a couple of words about some of our groundbreaking coordinated cross-system efforts around child abuse prevention, child abuse and neglect prevention. Here in Sacramento, we are super fortunate to have multiple groups that are gathering. We have the right players at the table, several of you included, and parents as well. We brainstorm, we share solutions, and we sort of talk about the systems changes that are needed to reduce, or better yet, even eliminate child abuse and neglect in the county. Stephanie Beekler is going to join us later on in today's agenda to share a presentation around Child Abuse Prevention Month, but also to highlight some of the work of the Prevention Cabinet and the other groups that are meeting. Share a little bit about First Five Advocacy Day. That will be held on April 19th, and the day opens at 9 a.m. With actually 2 of our own parents from Sacramento County. This is a statewide advocacy day where all 58 county commissions meet with their legislators, and we have 2 advisory committee parents who are going to kick off that event and share what First Five has meant in their lives. We have Jennifer Muhammad and Alexandria Page are gonna kick it off, so it's super exciting.
Julie?
Yeah.
Do we know yet? Do we have a set of bills or pending legislation that will be the probably the source of the
Yes.
speaking points for that day?
We do. So our the SOS committee has basically sees sort of the tracker, the bill tracker from First Five Association, and where First Fives are taking a position, a support or opposed position on things. And so we do kind of go in and highlight those ones that specifically are for our region. Yeah.
For those commission members who may be interested in participating on the 19th, can you have your staff provide us a summary or at least a link
Absolutely.
to the tracker platform so that
Absolutely.
we can have a good idea of what we're expected to address in those meetings?
Would love. And they're virtual this year, so literally it's super easy to just pop into one of the meetings if you would like to. So I will
So you can
send
do
that
it in
out to
cargo
everyone.
shorts.
Just wanted to share that First Five California this month is going to launch their Stronger Starts media campaign, and it focuses on the causes of toxic stress and provides tips for parents. It really does build on their Dragon Breath. I don't know how many of you saw the Dragon Breath PSAs and commercials just talking about how to deal with the stress. And this explains the causes, impacts, and solutions to alleviate toxic stress in a child's life. And finally, last thing is just a friendly reminder that there is still 6 Family Resource Center open houses that are open to you all. both commissioners and advisory committee members to join. I've been to 3 of them, and each one is its own unique experience. So it's not like if you've been to one, you've seen them all. It's literally if you've been to one, you've been to one Family Resource Center. But the staff are so inspirational, and they line up parents to talk about what the programs have meant and the impact that the programming has had on their lives. So I would just highly recommend, if you haven't stopped into one, do so. And I will, after this meeting, I'll send out the schedule again, so you have it at the top of your emails. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Julie. Any questions for our executive director? Don't see any hands raised. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to address the executive director's report?
No, sir, we do not.
Great, thanks again.
Sure.
Okay, next item.
Item number 4, advisory committee update.
Our chair is now working a full-time job at the state, and so she will probably not likely be able to join us. So I will do the update for this. Okay. So we met on February 10th. We had a full agenda, and it kicked off with our chair, Phil Cerna, doing a meet and greet with the advisory committee members. I had promised him like in and out in 10 minutes, and they kept him talking for like 30 minutes. So they had a lot of questions for him. And I think it's just so nice. They really do want to see you all and meet you all. So thanks to those of you who have already joined us for that. And if you haven't yet, I still have openings for slots later on this year. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will get you on the agenda. It really usually only is 10 to 15 minutes right at the front, and then you can jump off if you need to. Committee members reviewed our current seat openings. We have just a couple openings, not very many. And we talked about recruitment, and we also discussed changing our bylaws, updating our bylaws to create 4 new seats on the advisory committee that were sort of community at large seats where parents and caregivers could join the committee even outside of having to fill a specific breastfeeding slot or a mental health slot, but just to open it up to allow more space for parents and caregivers. So the committee is updating. They formed a subgroup, and they're updating the application to be more parent and parent-friendly, and the outreach materials and our bylaws, which we will vote on April 14th when we get back together again. So we will move from 21 members to 25 members. And then finally, Junior Goris, who is a member, was appointed to serve as an alternate on our commission's financial planning committee. So he will be joining us in the future there. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Julie? Don't see any. Madam Clerk, anyone from the public?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Next item, please.
Item number 5, evaluation committee update.
Thank you. I looked at that and I was panicked saying March 20th meeting. I don't remember a thing about it. Well, because we canceled it. So I was a little concerned there, but we will meet again soon. We were just delaying to have further progress on the draft reports that we review. So that's my report.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any questions? Don't see any members of the public wish to address this.
No, sir.
All right, on to the next item, please.
Item number 6, financial planning committee update.
Thank you. I get to fill in for Commissioner Hassett, who's on a vacation. She's on a beach, which isn't fair. So we were able to meet on March 23rd, establish a quorum at that meeting. A couple of the key items that we went through, there's been a staff, what I'd like to refer to as a right-sizing exercise that First 5 staff presented on. They updated a survey that they had been working on, looking at 3 comparable counties, both with the kind of next highest birth rates to Sacramento County, and then 3 lower than our county. The budget, the update included like looking at budget amounts and salary expectations, benefits for those different counties and first 5 commissions. So a few of the things that they found and that we looked at were average budget sizes for those counties. We took out Alameda for a bunch of reasons that they just didn't fit with us. They're very, very unique. So we kind of removed them, but went through other items that we looked at were, like I said, salary benefits. 4.9 million is the amount on average of other commissions, whereas Sacramento sits at 2.3 million, so considerably lower than other counties, other first 5s. Total first 5 number of employees averaged out to about 31 compared to roughly a dozen for Sacramento. And the amount of leveraged funding by other first 5 commissions was about 4.3 million for others, the others we looked at, compared to 6.7 million for us. So yes, if you do the math, we're doing a lot more with a lot less. So this is one, I love my metaphors. This is one of those that like when you're like at your house and there's like, you're having a plumbing problem, like your water pressure isn't really good. It's like, it, you can see it and you feel it, and your shower sucks every single day because the water is just barely trickling out. So then you call in like a bunch of resources to come and tell you, in fact, that you need a new plumbing system. So I feel like that's what they did. Bless their hearts that they went out on this. They feel it every day, and they recognize what it is, what some of the holes are truly, and this just gave them the ability to truly see it compared to other counties. So I applaud the effort. It was a lot of work for them. Also some great information that we were able to glean from other counties that we probably wouldn't have got otherwise. So it was a cool exercise to be part of. On other items, staff reported that there's not enough info yet to assess the impact of the tobacco flavor ban on other revenues yet. Only 1 month has been received. It was down 3%, but I know we're still waiting on more data for that. When you compare that to last year's monthly average, that was the 3% that it was down, but down 18% when you look at last January. So again, more information coming out, and that will be helpful. We reviewed the home visiting coordination grant, discussed how it fits with our systems change and sustainability efforts, obviously hoping to align all of that up. The 2-year grant pays for 1.25 FTEs of commission staff, which will be helpful and necessary, but will fund $1.4 million to the region for this kind of effort. So more money coming in, which is great. It's also on today's agenda. I think it's item 9. And then the committee reviewed, discussed, approved the fiscal year 2023-24 recommended budget. No changes to that we made, as well as that 10-year financial plan. So the budget is on today's agenda. That's item 10, so we'll get to that. And then we reviewed the financial analysis and financial statements that were reported through March 19th, and we didn't have any questions or comments. So unlike Steve's committee that just decided not to meet, we were very busy and reviewed a lot. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Moak.
Yes.
Okay, any questions for Commissioner Moak? I do not.
Plumbing questions or otherwise. I'll literally take anything.
Commissioner Wirtz?
All I'm going to ask is there anything going to happen with the proposal around the right sizing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to see at some point in time them put together a proposal that, likely will include some additional, you can speak to it, but just some additional administrative support. They've really done a good job, I feel like, of just cost of doing business analysis of where the holes are and what's needed and what allows them to do more work. And I feel like, so we'll see a really good comprehensive plan for what they have in mind. But just the early indications look like it's spot on and probably still won't even be enough. So.
Yes, it will. So you'll see it in 2 different places today. The home visiting collaboration grant, which Commissioner Moak mentioned, that is allowing us to bring in funding for a ASO 1, Administrative Services Officer 1 position. And then the other place where you will see it is in the 23-24 recommended budget, and that we have added a senior office assistant that Eric will walk you through sort of some of the duties and the why we kind of need that lower level position to take the pressure off of the more expensive staff, administrative staff at the top. Yeah.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to address us on this matter?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 7, Systems Optimization and Sustainability Committee update.
Good afternoon. The Systems Operations and Sustainability Committee held a regularly scheduled meeting on February 21st, 2023. During the meeting, the committee members approved our 2023 meeting calendar. We also reviewed and approved the 2023 policy priorities, which are included in your final packets for approval today. The committee also reviewed the strategic plan strategies related to system goals and provided staff with feedback for the implementation plan. The SOS committee's next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 18th at noon, and this will be our first meeting in person back at the First Five office.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any questions by commissioners? Don't see any. Any members of the public wish to address the commission on this?
No, we do not.
All right, very good. I want to thank all of our committee leadership for your ongoing time and energy that you devote to doing a very worthwhile and necessary and sometimes time-intensive job, but I do want to make mention of it because I don't do it often enough. With that, we'll go on to the next item, please.
Item number 8 is approve First Five Sacramento's 2024 to 2027 strategic plan.
And I've got this one. So staff is recommending approval of our 24 to 27 strategic plan, which is included in your packet. Between May of 2022 and February of 2023, you all met 6 times over the course of those 9 months to help build and create this strategic plan. You approved the $44.6 million spending budget. You crafted a new mission statement. You approved 5 priorities, 9 outcomes, and 14 goals to accomplish within the plan. On February 6th, we presented the plan to you all to review and comment. We took your comments, but you didn't have any suggested changes at that time. So that is the draft that I took to the Board of Supervisors on March 14th, I want to say. Yep, on March 14th. The board listened intently to the highlights of the strategic plan, and they made comments just around their desire to ensure that families, within the new plan, families still had access to place-based resources where the needs, families' needs were highest in the county. They also did not recommend any changes. So staff are returning to you today with the same plan that you reviewed in February. No changes were made, and we are recommending approval of the strategic plan. That approval would allow us to move forward with our implementation planning, which we are doing sort of simultaneously to this, and would bring to you in June for approval.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. You made reference to the number of times that this commission has met on the subject or been part of discussions individually over several months. But I do want to take this opportunity to again thank you and your staff for being very deliberate in development of the strategic plan and assembling the resources necessary to really have us think carefully about how we want to proceed with the next 3-year installment of the strategic plan for this commission. So again, job very well done. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to address this?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, any commissioner wish to address this? Commissioner Moak.
Just real quick, I would just want to say thanks to the Seed Collective folks, Dr. Moreno and Evan, who, you know, it was a long process. It's a lot of feedback. It's a lot of work, and just their passion from kind of the beginning and their energy to kind of stick through it and the way they did it, I thought was pretty special. You know, with these things, having been through a few of them, it's like, it's hard because in this form, this strategic planning, you're really deciding kind of what not to do in many cases, and that's very difficult. So I just really wanted to applaud Dr. Moreno and Evan's work and the Seed Collective for how they guided us through this process.
I'll pass it along.
Thanks.
They were so enthusiastic about being a part of this, and I even believe that they're working with some of our other county commissions now, having gotten in, and sharing what they learned here, and continuing to evolve that work with different counties too.
Okay, Commissioner Turner Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of words of thanks and honoring all the work done. We did meet and were very involved. It was different than other strategic plans. I think that's noteworthy. But I think I just want to say that in spite of us looking very closely and adjusting by a little percentage and a half here or 2% there in terms of budgeting, to make sure, for one thing, that we included the READY inclusion throughout, as we continued for that implementation. But it's noteworthy always that the majority of our budget still goes to program. And with the ever-present, as long as I can remember now, back on the advisory, the cliff from the first time I ever heard that word, that we still are managing by working towards other opportunities for funding, which you'll hear more about today and have heard mentioned, that we still have our focus where at least I feel it needs to be. So kudos to the Seed Collective and the staff, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wards.
Yeah, just another comment also of thanks for the work that went into this from staff and from our consultants. But I think I want to just highlight how unique this strategic plan process and focus was around racial equity, diversity and inclusion. I just think that's pretty profound, and we should take a moment of recognition for the dramatic sort of paradigm shift that this represents, and we'll hear more later about why that's well grounded in what's happening in our Sacramento community. So kudos to everyone involved, and it was a great process, and I appreciate it.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, well, I guess at this point, since we have no public speakers, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Kasiri. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Turner Johnson. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Cerna.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Kasiri.
Aye.
Commissioner Wirtz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Next item, please.
Item number 9, authorize executive director to submit grant application to First 5 California for home visiting coordination to execute the grant award notification and to enter into expenditure agreements with Region 3 county commissions and technical assistance providers.
It's a mouthful, and we're trying to get as much as we could in here. So happy to jump in and talk about this one. It's pretty exciting. First 5 California is funding a 2-year regional home visiting technical assistance and coordination grant. It's for fiscal years 23-24 and 24-25, and it's really to promote increased coordination and collaboration of home visiting within our county and as well as across the other counties in our region. Due to the heavy burden, administrative burden that First 5 California was experiencing in having 58 individual contracts for home visiting technical assistance and coordination, they've changed their model about how they will grant funding, and they are doing it regionally now, which sort of pushes their administrative burden down to the one county who agrees to take it on for the region. And in this case, we have Region 3, which is the region First 5 Sacramento is in, has 10 other counties, so the 11-county region, with First 5 Sacramento being the largest of the counties. And so what you have before you today is our request for Sacramento to be the lead, the fiscal lead, to be the agency that submits the application and then enters into the contract with First Five California, receives those funds, subcontracts with 10 other local county commissions, and the up to 4 technical assistance providers. In order to do that, and that would be for a total of $1.86 million over the 2-year period. In order to do that, First Five Sacramento would need to increase our capacity to manage those subcontracting responsibilities that were sort of transferred over from First Five California. Along with the administrative piece, there's also just the programmatic piece of our own local coordination. So things like our decision tree for how if a family, the no wrong door, a family goes to any agency in Sacramento County, and people, the staff there are being trained on a decision tree that would help them get that family to the most, to the best program that best meets their needs, because we have home visiting programs that are really targeted toward first-time moms only or African-American moms only. So we are a resource-rich county, but that also means that there's a bit of confusion around where the family should go. So we started this work a couple years ago with the first grant from First Five California. And this would allow us to continue our internal work as well as bring in regional technical assistance providers to help us with things around like workforce development, and to help other counties who haven't yet begun to bring parents to the table. We have families who have joined our SAC Family Connect, which is our home visiting coordination group, but not every county in the region has parents who are sitting at the table and are being part of the decision-making process. So this would also provide technical assistance to the region on how to do that work better. So that would be a 0.6 FTE of a current staff who we have on board already, a program planner, to do that coordination work, and then also a administrative services officer 1 position, the ASO 1 position that I mentioned earlier. That would be a new position coming to the commission, but funded under this grant that could work specifically with these new contracts. The grant would fund $225,000 per year in staff and indirect costs, and the new position that would be created would cost about $115,000 a year. So this would allow us to save about $110,000 a year that could sort of stay in our fund balance and potentially, be used to fund the position into future years. Although we really do see our goal is to draw down additional funding and be able to sustain this position over time. It's a needed position, especially as First Five California is changing the way it distributes its money to this regional model. It could be like this for early learning programs, census funding, and I'm just thinking of like different ways in which they'll be doing this in the future. So setting ourselves up now for that. So if awarded, the grant would provide $450,000 over the 2 years for First Five, $1 million to reimburse the 10 other counties in the region. They would get $100,000 each under this, and that would leave $400,000 and roughly $14,000 for the technical assistance providers. So staff are seeking approval today to authorize your executive director to submit the application to First Five California, to execute the grant award notification, to execute a revenue agreement with First Five California, and to enter into expenditure agreement with 10 commissions, the First Five Association, Lead for Tomorrow, and up to 2 additional technical assistance providers. Happy to answer any questions you might have about all of that.
All right, thank you, Julie. Any questions for our Executive Director, Commissioner Wirtz?
I was noting that each of the 10 counties get $50,000 a year, $100,000 total. Is that comparable to what they were getting in the old structure? And is that sufficient for them to do this kind of coordination of the home visitation programs? I mean, we know how complex and so on they are. So I was just concerned about whether that was a sufficient amount for them to be able to function effectively in completing these tasks.
It's probably not, to be honest. And the way that First Five California released the money restricted the lead agency from transferring more than 50% of the money to the county commissions. And so that meant that the most that they could receive was $100,000 each. Really, it was closer to like $93,000 each. But we did get told, we were authorized shortly thereafter because we complained a lot to First Five California about this. They did say we could provide more than 50% if we justified it. So that's when we bumped everyone up to $100,000. Prior years, it was $100,000 per year. Now it's just 50% of that, which is, barely enough to allocate some staff time and to pay for some incentives to bring parents on board, and that kind of thing. But we're hoping that what we get with the technical assistance money and those providers is really helpful around workforce development and parent engagement specifically, as well as there's a new requirement that county commissions have an MOU in place with the managed healthcare plans in their county. And so First Five Association's role in this for technical assistance is to help draft an MOU language that we could all potentially use with our managed care providers. And within that, to try to figure out how to use the community health worker benefit, which is now reimbursable, potentially having home visitors be community health workers because they go out into folks' homes and in the community, and looking at setting up a potential reimbursement model for home visiting through that new benefit. So the association is providing that sort of level statewide across this area. And so we're hoping that, and the county commissions understand it's not a lot of money to do the local work, but they're happy. They're so appreciative that First Five Sacramento is willing to take on. Literally no other county commission was in a place to even bring this couple $1 million into the region. If First Five Sacramento hadn't agreed to do it, they would not have. We would be passing up on this money entirely. So they're okay with getting what they can. It's probably not enough to do it well, though.
Well, thank you for the detailed answer. I really appreciate that. And I think the benefit they're going to get, not only the skill and expertise and advice and coordination and collaboration from Sacramento, I think that in itself may well be worth that. But in addition, I think it's almost like some of this is going to be systemic change like we've been trying to do in Sacramento. And so if they can set up these MOUs and this reimbursement, they may well do like we do in terms of expanding our sustainability by leveraging other monies. So I appreciate the answer, and I understand that none of us are getting all we need to help our communities do everything that they should be able to. So thank you for the answer.
Exactly. Thank you.
Commissioner Turner-Johnson.
I just want to speak in support of this grant application. First of all, it's not a choice, all right? I mean, you either do it and you get money, or you don't, and you still are going to end up with the responsibility. So that's the bottom line. But even beyond that, we had a very, very fruitful discussion in the Finance Committee, and it went on for some time because Eric and you had done so much work in all of these comparisons that Scott outlined very well. that weren't always, as appropriate for us. So we managed to work through those kinds of comparisons. But I always felt there was a chance here, because of the role we would take, for generating other funds. And you've just detailed one, and so there you are. What I want to point out about this, besides the fact that there isn't a choice, is that it is a systemic paradigm shift. There's no doubt about it. And I do understand actually why First Five California would reach this point, and certainly understand that the money being given out to each county regional area is not sufficient. So that's a whole other matter that is separate from this decision. But what I see here is that in the role that you're asking for approval on, of this full-time and partial, Part 6, I think you said, 0.6 FTE, the amount you're taking on to do that way goes beyond. The workload you're going to have goes way beyond what these two positions are going to fulfill. So we have to be clear about that they're not asking for something that is going to leave them additional room for movement. It's a very tight arena, and also very resourceful of being able to move this 0.6 person that's already in place over to this grant, saving money for our own budget. I mean, I think I commented at the Finance Committee how resourceful and ingenious over time I have watched First Five County Sacramento be in the way that they handled budgeting to be able to continue our program as long as possible. And the other thing I just want to make mention of, which I think is unique, you just barely touched on it, but you're going to be mentoring these other counties, of which when I was looking at this yesterday, I hadn't looked at the actual names of all the counties, and it's pretty impressive, So when you think they may be small, they may be less experienced in such matters, and it is a complex system of direct delivery, which is what I asked about. Is there any money for direct delivery? No. This is the complex web of approaching the right resource for the right family and doing it in a way that is going to be effective and over time, supportive and helpful. So there's a mentoring aspect to this that I think is unique and that needs to be pointed out, because it's going to be these two people, a 1 and a 0.6 for really very little amount of money, isn't it? $225 total. And as Scott pointed out at the Finance Committee, we're talking a drop in the bucket in terms of financial resource to support this. So that's my speech on supporting this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Gross.
I was just wondering if you could tell us what is the actual work that Lead for Tomorrow will be doing in this?
Sure. So this is really related to sharing what they have started in Sacramento with the FAMNet, Family Advocacy. Do you remember what the M stands for? Okay. It could be Family Advocacy Mentoring Network, and sharing the PACE curriculum, which is the At Your Own Pace parent leadership curriculum, because we had such an overwhelming response to PLTI and only had a certain number of spaces. So they created a sort of at your own pace parent leadership for those who couldn't get into PLTI. So it's really them sort of sharing with the other 10 counties what is started here and building on it for us, of course, and helping them bring on sort of parent home visiting ambassadors who could sit at their regional tables and leading parents in that work through the different commissions. So actually Lead for Tomorrow would work with county commission staff on how to engage parents and bring parents to the table, and then provide some of those parent workshops virtually. And perhaps up to 2 gatherings per year that would be in person.
Thank you. Any other questions for our Executive Director? Yeah, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I want to echo what's been said. I think they are all very fortunate to have you providing the coordination, collaboration, and the mentoring. A quick question, though. I noticed that YOLO and Placer are not included here. Did they just go it alone, or I don't know how much?
Great
I don't
question.
know how this system works with
It's a very
First
good
Five.
question. They were, in fact, started off in our group. We had, and Sutter was also in our group, so we had a 14-county region. And there are, I believe, up to 16 or more counties in California that all have Partnership Health Plan as the main health plan for their county. And those counties that have...
You mean the MCO?
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, managed care plan.
Yeah.
So those counties all got together to create one region because they are really going to lead the work in creating the MOU and working on getting the home visiting reimbursed through the community outreach worker benefit, the new benefit. So we're kind of letting them do that work within that county and hoping to be able to share out from what they create to work in other counties as well. And we're just contributing a tiny bit, like $10,000 a year, I think, to that work so that we're included in it and benefit from it. But that group is really taking on the crux of looking at the sustainability. Thank you. I should have included that. That's good to state.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners? Madam Clerk, do we have anyone from the public who wishes to address us on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, with that, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved. Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Gordon, second by Commissioner Kasiri. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Cerna.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner-Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Casirier.
Aye.
Commissioner Wirtz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you. All right, next item.
Item number 10, public hearing, approval of recommended budget for fiscal year 23-24 and the 10-year financial plan.
All right. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name's Eric Harold, Chief of Administration, First Five Sacramento Commission. Are these new microphones? Hello. Feel like you're gonna- All right. So on the agenda, we're considering the recommended budget for fiscal year 23-24. County code requires that the budget is submitted to the county executive's office for review and comment. I did that on February 20th, did not receive any comments back, and that weren't resolved anyways. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. I feel like we've already spoke a lot about the budget. So we'll go ahead and get right into the overview on attachment 1, the budget highlights. And at the top there, you can see the budget amount that we're asking for this year is $22.35 million. It is broken down by administrative cost at 5.4%, evaluation costs at 2.1%, and program funding at 92.5%. So on this form, you can see how each of the programs are funded by percentage as well as the amount. And you can see it there was in the gray bar portion of the report. And at the very bottom right-hand call-out box, we can figure out what is happening with the reserve balance. At the beginning of the fiscal year, we'll start off with $20.5 million in reserves. We are going to have a $13,000 carry forward fund balance, or at least an estimated $13,000 carry forward fund balance. So it's a tight budget this year. So we'll require a reserve release of $3.8 million roughly, leaving our reserve fund balance at the end of the next fiscal year at $16.8 million. If you look just to the left of that, you'll see a summary of our revenues and where we anticipate, how much we anticipate to collect next fiscal year. And the total of those revenues is $18.6 million. And combined with the $3.8 million reserve fund release, we have a total financing for the year of $22.35 million, which makes it a balanced budget request. With that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the changes from the prior year to this year, what's going on. Of course, we've discussed the new positions. First off, I'll start off by saying overall, this budget request is a total of $779,000 above what we requested last fiscal year. That's made up of salary and benefits increase of $300,000, which includes the 2 new positions. One of those positions we kind of talked about, which was the senior office assistant. We knew about this and have kind of made that position known earlier, a few months ago. And really the ASL 1, or Administrative Services Officer 1, wasn't added till late when we found out about the grant just a month or 2 ago. So the senior office assistant is really designed to alleviate some of the clerical tasks that are being performed currently by positions that would be better used in a higher functioning role, such as applying for these new grants. And one of the things we identified was we really would benefit by having somebody that can dedicate a portion of their time to data management and kind of improve the quality of the data and really have time to focus on what we're collecting and perhaps be involved in training for anybody that is using the Persimmon system, and kind of put a steady presence there for our data management and quality control on data, which, by the way, just occurred to me that would help improve our MA, or our revenue benefit, as well. Then also would act as a administrative support role for helping with procurement, freeing up some time so we can focus on new contracts and other issues that need to be attended to administratively. In the board letter, I put 2 charts, 2 tables. One shows you how much we're making in leverage funding in the prior 4 years, I think it was 4 years, to our focus on sustainability, and then what we were making after we focused on sustainability is the average of the 4 years after, and I think it is 1.8 million compared to 6.6 million now. So obviously on the other chart in the board letter, you see what's involved in going after these new funding sources and maintaining the ones that we've already received. And that involves pre-award activities such as applying, creating a budget, getting the insurance, and just a myriad of tasks. Then pre-post award, what's required after the award and shutting down the award, and continuous efforts. And primarily a heavy burden there is processing all the claims for all of our contracts and reviewing the budgets and budget revisions, contract amendments, and things like that. So essentially, that's why we wanted to add this senior office assistant, is to free up time for the other staff to focus on those types of issues. And I think we covered what we're looking for from the administrative services officer in managing the home visiting grant. So, well, I think I got a little off track. Back to the difference between this year's budget request and the prior year budget request. $300,000 is made up in salary and benefits. A change to our contracts where most of our expenses are. We have a lot of direct service contracts. And one thing is our refugee family support grant is going away in the first quarter. So we're going to save on contract expenditures there in the amount of $540,000. I'm sorry. It's, I can't see. I think it's $540,000. And then we're going to have an increase for the home visiting coordinator of $800,000. So the net difference in our direct service contracts is $484,000. Then we had an in our services and supplies, we had a reduction of $2,000 based on losing the refugee grant. It's a net loss of $2,000 in appropriations there. So like I said, with all those changes in expenditures, we anticipate we are asking for a $779,000 increase in allocations. Now, the changes in the revenues is we have lost approximately $2 million in revenue, or will anticipate losing $2 million. And this is primarily because of the Prop 31 ban on flavored tobacco tax, or ban on flavored tobacco. We're using the state-provided estimates of how much revenue we will get for this next fiscal year. And that's a loss of around $2.6 million. And when you figure in the increase we're getting from the home visiting coordination agreement of $986,000, along with the minor changes in the other revenue sources, it's a total net revenue loss of $2 million. Okay, if we could move on to attachment 2, the 10-year financial plan. Basically, the green highlighted column is the current year budget request. And taking a look at the top there, our reserve balance is $20.5 million with a $13,000 carry forward, and the $3.8 million reserve release, and leaves our our reserve balance at $16.8 million. You can see all the rest of the expenditures and revenues are filled into this. In the next strategic plan period, towards the bottom there, you see the placeholder for the same amount as this next strategic plan period will not decrease. It's at $14.9 million. And then finally, in the 2027 strategic plan period, you can see that we will be reducing by nearly 34%. Hopefully, over time, we'll realize carry forward fund balance during the 2024 strategic planning period, and I'll reduce that number hopefully significantly. For instance, let's say we put in approximately a 20% reduction to Prop 10. If that doesn't happen, if we collect more than that, that will reduce the impact on the 2027 strategic planning period. So if you look at the reserve balance line, it's the yellow highlighted line near the top. You can see as you go through the years that in fiscal year 29-30 is when we will hit the $3 million threshold in our reserve fund, and that's will be retained for emergency use. And so we'll only operate off of current year revenues after that point. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric? Commissioner Wirtz.
Thank you for the report and numbers. Just a couple comments. It's interesting that the last 2 fiscal years, 21-22, 22-23, that we had done better with not having to draw down on reserve release. And I think it just, good to notice that we've been doing so well in those prior years of not needing to draw that down, and that's allowed us to have a broader sum to work with over this declining years of funding. So I think that's super. I just wanted to highlight that. And then just a sort of a question and comment. In terms of the 24 strategic plan for the 3 years, 24 through 27, we have no money yet placed in the empty spaces where the CalWorks and ARPA and so on are, and it is our hope potentially that some or as much or more will fit into those as well, so that our bottom line of monies to be spent in services and policy and so on would be higher than that 14.88, assuming that we would be getting some further fill-ins of those areas. Is that correct, and is there something to say about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. When we do the strategic planning process, we generally typically look at what we know is long-term funding, which is Prop 10, the MA that we claim against it, and so we use those to figure out our revenues. All the other items are approved independently by the by the commission, like we did today with the home visiting coordination. So those aren't part of a long-term planning process. They are added as individual commission items as they come up, and they're approved.
Just to add on, that revenue column a long time ago was one thing.
Yes.
So, and now it's 8.
Yeah,
and we'll continue. We should assume, because of the work and way in which they work, we are hopeful that we keep adding additional revenue streams.
But let me jump in now. But there is some specific. There is a specific schedule, though, around, for instance, ARPA. We know that that's not going to be available because that has some guideposts that direct us to appropriate the ARPA funds by 24 and have them spent by 26. So please don't think that somehow, through another act of Congress related to the pandemic, as we get further and further away from the end of the pandemic, that's likely to materialize, because it just won't.
Right. I guess I'm thinking more of the community health outreach worker model and other opportunities to draw down money that we don't even today know that exist or are eligible to. I think that the CalWorks one is the one that we know we're going to be able to lean on, again, fairly heavily and consistently as we have. I'm thinking of it more just opportunistically, but I can appreciate your comment.
And I was trying to also look at that as on the optimistic side. And I do expect that with our sustainability efforts and our leveraging efforts, there will be some monies in there, but I too am not saying what that would be. But by far, it would still allow us not to have this major cliff as we've had, from 22 million to 15 million in one time period, and that's because we have other things in the works right now. Even the CalWorks, though, depending on recession and so on, may not be as permanent as we might like it to be, or as much. So, but anyway, thank you for that. I think it does give us a view of both what we have in terms of long-term and what we need to do in terms of sustainability and leveraging to continue expanding or not shrinking too fast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I just want to say one thing about the comment you made at the very beginning about the $3.5 million that stayed in the reserve, that we did like a return to the reserves. And that was that's really a double-edged sword, because we typically don't want to have that money in there, because then that means that the agencies were not able to provide the services. And that was what happened. That was that horrible COVID year where so many families didn't get services because everything was shut down. And so it's like lovely that we have it now, but it was pretty rough at that time. So we always hope to be sort of close-ish to what we expected to spend, and that was just sort of an anomaly year. So not to just make sure that y'all don't think like we're going to do really good and not spend another $3 million in 2025, but hopefully not.
Julie, thank you for clarifying my misunderstanding on that.
It's okay.
So I was looking at the current time period, not the past.
Right.
So
yes.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Okay, if there are no further questions for staff, this is a public hearing item, so I'll go ahead and open the public hearing and invite members of the public to address the commission on this item. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you very much. I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Kasiri
Second.
and seconded by Commissioner Wirtz. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Cerna.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner-Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Casirier.
Aye.
Commissioner Wirtz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Very good, thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 11, approved first 5 Sacramento 23-24 policy priorities.
Great, and we have Erin Mari, who's our policy director at the commission, will be taking this one on.
Well, good afternoon, Chair Cerna and Commissioners. It is lovely to be up here again for my one annual item, which is to approve the policy priorities. So let me give you a little bit of background. These priorities were created by our wonderful Systems Optimization and Sustainability, easier to say SOS Committee, and it serves to guide the staff parameters to track proposals and legislation. And it's being approved at an ideal time as we move into our Advocacy Day season. So First 5 Sacramento's policy and advocate efforts will continue to focus on the same 4 areas of health, early care and development, empowered families, and systems improvement and sustainability. The SOS Committee met on February to review and update these policy priorities and create recommendations for your approval. This is in attachment 1 in your packet. The key changes to this year's priorities was adding our mission statement and refining racial equity and social justice goals in our priority areas that align with the next strategic plan. So it aligns nicely since the plan was approved today. So when you're looking at the document, you will see that the strikeouts are the languages we omitted and the new language is in bold. In addition to those changes, per the request of Commissioner Wirtz, we have a recommendation to a 4th priority to the health and wellness area related to addressing the disturbing trends in infant mortality and perinatal outcomes. If I could ask Stephanie to please put a chart up on the screen, and I will hand this over to Commissioner Wirtz.
Thank you. As you know, a couple meetings, the Evaluation Committee and my reports have highlighted many of our successes, and this suggestion today has nothing to take away from the successes that we've made. It rather is to highlight one of the areas that I think many places in the country struggle with, and we struggle here in Sacramento as well. As the slide indicates, I've just put together 4 of the figures from the report that you're going to hear more of as we go forward. And I've circled in red in each of these charts to highlight one basic thing, that the trend is going up in all of those indicators for African American babies and families. And that trend going up is a negative thing with infant mortality, with perinatal cause deaths, the second slide, the low birth weights, and the gestational age, all indicating, unfortunately, increasing trends of problems. So our strategic plan under the health and well-being has as one of its goals reducing perinatal health disparities for parents and infants through the culturally responsive programs and services. So it's built into the plan. My hope was that we could then also just indicate the same in our strategic priority policy priorities. And so the language that I was proposing is sort of based on the other health and wellness items, and it would read, support and promote efforts to improve the healthcare systems for pregnant women to reduce disparities in perinatal morbidity and mortality. And with that, I would make a motion that, if that's appropriate, Chair Cerna, that this additional item be added to the 23-24 policy priorities.
Okay, thank you. Question for County Counsel's office, just because I want to make sure we're not going to do anything inadvertently illegal here, but since this is being introduced today as an adjunct to the noticed item, do we run any risk that the public hasn't had a chance to see this for any extended period of time, or that this wasn't specifically noticed to act on it today? Sorry to throw you a curveball here.
I don't see any problem with that today.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so there is a motion on the floor. I think what we'll do is maybe take the motion as one. So it would be to approve the policy priorities with the amended additional language. Is that my understanding?
That would be
Okay.
fine with me. Yes.
All right, so that's the motion by Commissioner Wirtz. The chair will second it. Is there any discussion by commissioners or questions by commissioners? Okay, question by Commissioner Milk.
The question, Dr. Wirtz, is just the date ranges, knowing that this is the most, 3 years ago is the most recent data we have, which continues to be wild to me. That is what we're dealing with. In a real-time world that we're living in, it is just saddening that this is what we're up against, dealing with data that's 3 years old.
Scott, I hear you, and it is a challenge for everyone. I did look at the national CDC data, and they did have a further update with if this is listing, it has 2021, and it showed a similar trend upward for those items for which they were available, infant mortality and perinatal. And I do think it's a challenge, and I'm not sure what the role of First Five is, other than to urge the county to work on ways to increase the timeliness of data. I'm still working at the California Department of Public Health, and that is a priority that's being worked on there, and some work is available to help counties move forward on preliminary data. I think one of the issues, and Dr. Kasari may want to comment or not,
He's in the queue.
Is the question of using preliminary data as a useful, understood, limited tool for planning and considerations. I think at the state we're doing that now. On our opioid website, for example, we have preliminary data that's about 6 months back. And it turns out that we've done studies, and those preliminary numbers tend to be well within close range of what's real. So I would concur with you that anything we could do to move toward using preliminary data to help us have a more, I won't even call it real-time situation, but there are other ways of doing it. And I think if, for example, we set up a OBGYN community planning process or to look into what's going on with these issues, we could potentially use, for example, the fetal infant mortality review process to get more recent data as a preliminary basis. So there are some alternatives, and I know they're all difficult and they have limitations, and that's why I open the floor to further comment on it.
Dr. Kasari?
Yeah, thank you. I think the data issue has always been a problem. And part of that is we are dependent on a state database, and we also have a contract with the state that we have to adhere to. And usually that means that we put information into the database, the state cleans the data, and then sends us our data set. So there's always going to be that delay. And plus also, there's also the matching between the births and deaths that usually takes time. And yes, I do understand the desire to have more recent data, but I don't know how possible it is with the system that we have right now. I know that the state is working on being able to have more real-time or make the data available to us more real-time, but that's not available right now.
All right, any other questions or comments by commissioners? Okay, don't see any. Madam Clerk, do we have okay.
I just have a question. I'm so sorry. Commissioner Wirtz, you read the part 3, which is in the health and wellness. Am I right about that? But is it written? I'm trying to hear it again. Not that I disagree. Don't disagree. I'm just curious to hear it again. We can, your addition to
The
the,
language?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
I don't know if we have it on any kind of slide. I'd be glad to read it again. It's,
Would you mind I mean, I don't disagree, but I'd just like to hear it again because I've been searching and thinking, I'm sure it's not here.
Or you could alternatively give it to the clerk, and the clerk could throw it up on the overhead.
That would be even better, I think, since we are adding on at this very moment as we go through this activity to approve a motion. I really appreciate it.
and
She'll, give her a moment. She'll zoom.
and it's only the highlighted part. I'm not.
Hold on.
Well-
Give her a chance to zoom it. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, and I'll read it as well. So add to the health and wellness section, number 4, support and promote efforts to improve the healthcare systems for pregnant women to reduce disparities in perinatal morbidity and mortality.
Okay. Does that conclude all your comments? Commissioner Johnson?
I'm fine. It just helped to have that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Commissioner Kasuri.
I think I'd like a clarification on what is meant by healthcare systems, because when I'm thinking about it, I think about the hospital systems. And if that's the case, that really narrows it. So if you could define what you meant by healthcare systems.
I was trying to use a broad term, but I do see the lack of community, for example. But I'm thinking as a policy statement that this might be sufficient for this purpose, but I would be open to a...
I have a suggested change. Instead, because I
Yeah.
agree with Dr. Kasuri, I would say to improve systems of healthcare for pregnant women. I don't think that makes it confusing with, the 4 regional healthcare systems that we typically reference in that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, can I read that back?
Sure.
Support and promote efforts to improve the systems of health care for pregnant women to reduce disparities in perinatal morbidity and mortality.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine with me.
Okay. Any other suggested changes or questions? Seeing none. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on this?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right. So we have a set of policy priorities with the amended language that has been introduced by Commissioner Wirtz. And I don't believe we have any other suggested changes. So with that, I'd entertain a motion. Oh, actually, we actually have a motion, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would so move, and we might need a second. Oh, you seconded it also?
Yeah.
Oh, well, with these new changes.
We got the motion and the second on the floor so fast that I think we forgot about it. So we do have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Cerna.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner-Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Kasirier.
Aye.
Commissioner Wirtz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item number 12, presentation, Cross Systems Child Abuse Prevention Efforts.
Great. We will welcome Stephanie Biegler from Child Abuse Prevention Center, who's going to run us through a brief PowerPoint deck on some of these efforts, and also in honor of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Just make sure you should have mics.
Oh, okay. Did I do?
We should have worn our pinwheels.
Well, should have worn your pinwheels, but you do have an opportunity on Friday to dress blue for
very good.
Child Abuse Prevention Month. Am I echoing
You're good. Bring the mics a little closer to you.
like this?
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay, my voice tends to be loud, so I'm inconsiderate of that. I am Stephanie Biegler, Chief Program Officer at the Child Abuse Prevention Center, and I am clearly not Sheila Boxley, who wishes more than anything that she could be here today to have this presentation. She unfortunately is home with some lingering COVID symptoms, and I think we all wish her well. However, I am not here by myself. I am joined by my esteemed colleague at the CAP Center, Tally Pomrose, who is our Senior Program Manager for Birth and Beyond, Child Death Review Team, and the Child Safety Forward Department of Justice efforts. And I'm also joined by Christy Gonzalez, who is Chief Program Officer at WellSpace Health. Tally started with Birth and Beyond back in 2004, and Christy did in 2003 as a family resource coordinator. So if there are any questions about Birth and Beyond, we will defer to them. There we go. My overarching theme this morning is a presentation, as your agenda item says, on cross-systems child abuse prevention and the exceptional cross-sector collaboration that is taking place in our county among public and private systems that do their best to help bolster child and family well-being. The themes that I will briefly discuss with you are the 21st century public health approach to child welfare, share with you, review with you, because you already know what's working with current prevention efforts, talk a little bit about services that strengthen families and build protective factors, a slide that we always present every year about the cost of child abuse and neglect in Sacramento County, and let you know that community voice is at the core of what we are doing within our county as it relates to child abuse prevention and the efforts that we have been engaged with. Oh, we like this slide. Our journey begins here back in 2019 when we at the Child Abuse Prevention Center applied for a federal grant from the Department of Justice to implement and be selected as a demonstration site for Child Safety Forward. It was in response to the 2018 report from the Federal Commission to Eliminate Child Abuse and Neglect Fatalities. And as you can tell by this map, there were 4 demonstration sites in the Midwest and on the East Coast, and then you come all the way to Sacramento. And we were very proud to have been selected as one of the recipients of this grant. In January of 2020, right before COVID, our federal grant monitors made a visit to Sacramento County. They were obviously very impressed, as we all know, with the existing collaborative efforts that we are known for. We are going to end our journey with this Department of Justice grant this week. We actually have funding through September, when those same representatives from the federal DOJ will be here Wednesday and Thursday, so we can share with them everything that we have done to respectfully implement that grant. I do have to say that in my almost 25 years and in Sheila's, that we've never been at a place in this county with such a strong cross-systems collaboration at the authoritative level for child abuse and neglect prevention. Your executive director, Julie, is part of our efforts of the Prevention Cabinet, and there are many members of your commission that are part of this Prevention Cabinet. Here's what this 21st century approach to child welfare looks like, and this is a diagram that was included in the commission's report. And as you will see, family and community are at the core of this. And this is surrounded by leadership and accountability, surrounded by decisions grounded in better data and research, and a multidisciplinary support for families. And what we are mirroring with our prevention cabinet is the multidisciplinary support for families that exists at the community level, be it through a family resource center, a community incubator lead. We are now mirroring at the leadership level, and the leadership level that has the opportunity to go ahead and to make decisions on behalf of children and families in our county. The commission really emphasizes over and over again this public health approach to child welfare. And we, in this county, through the Prevention Cabinet, made the decision early on, I think it goes back actually prior to this DOJ funding, that child safety and family strengthening and well-being is not the sole responsibility of our Child Protective Services. It is a joint responsibility that all systems that come in contact with families are responsible for. So this public health approach engages a broad spectrum of community agencies and systems to identify, test, and evaluate strategies to prevent harm to children. This public health approach to child and family well-being does include child protection. It promotes equitable solution. However, it brings together the public and private partners to ensure that families are strengthened and children are protected. This is another great slide that we like to share. This is what the Prevention Cabinet is comprised of, and it has taken us pretty much all, 2.5+ years to get to this point of 39 members, 21 agencies, and 8 systems. This Prevention Cabinet has subcommittees in it, a data subcommittee, a systems subcommittee, and a community engagement subcommittee, as well as a planning committee. We have a very ambitious draft, 100-page strategic plan, and our strategy really offers a bridge between child safety and family health and well-being. The pillars of this strategic plan include racial equity, trauma-informed practices, and a systems approach. We are also engaging and interacting with several current county initiatives. We are involved in the AB 283 Child, Youth, and Family System of Care, and in the FFPSA, which is the Federal Family First FSPSA, Family First Prevention Services Act. The S, is Sacramento. We kind of adopted the acronym at the federal level, where we as Sacramento County will be submitting our comprehensive prevention plan to the state in a very short while. So the benefit of having the Prevention Cabinet is when these other initiatives from other systems were looking for a guidance body and an oversight body, we then at the Prevention Cabinet became that entity, particularly for the FFPSA plan. We wanted to go ahead and just share with you, and bring to your attention, I guess, and remind you about initiatives that are working, and acknowledge that we as a county are very fortunate to have prevention efforts that we know are working. And why do we know they are working? Because early on, the implementation and the onset of Birth and Beyond had an impact evaluation component to it. The implementation of the Black Child Legacy Campaign had an evaluation component to it. And thanks to that, our initiatives such as Birth and Beyond, Black Child Legacy, our soon and existing Child Safety Forward Initiative Sacramento, and the RAACD efforts of First Five Sacramento all have brought us to the proud moment of the results that are there on the screen, including a 66 46% reduction in average monthly foster care entries, a 44% reduction in repeat maltreatment, a 46% reduction in the number of children in foster care, and an 85% reduction in child abuse and neglect homicides involving African American children ages 0 to 5. And we have jointly celebrated these accomplishments, the First Five Commission, as well as with the County Board of Supervisors. One of the foundations of which we have built many of our prevention efforts are on the protective factors, where extensive research at the federal level and adopted by many states and communities, included Sacramento County, we know that if we build these 5 protective factors in children and families, that they can be strengthened and children can remain safe. And those protective factors include nurturing and attachment, concrete support for parents, knowledge of parenting for child and youth development, social and emotional competence of children, and parental resiliency. And you will see in this particular slide that the family is surrounded by an entire community of which we have a sampling of some of those efforts that build protective factors in families. And the importance of those protective factors was never so evident during COVID, where families really reached out to the private systems that we have in place through the CILs and the family resource centers to have their basic needs met, which meant food, clothing, yes, shelter, as always, paying for your utility bills, and just being able to sustain themselves through a very challenging time for all of us that had many more resources than some of our families that were deeply touched in our community. Some of our work includes our CalWorks, CalFresh co-location. We have domestic violence services embedded in our Birth and Beyond sites. We recognize the need for increased mental health and wellness supports, as well as housing assistance. We in this room know the importance of child abuse and neglect prevention. However, if there is any doubt, this slide should erase it. In 1 year, Sacramento County, this is 2021 data, the cost of child abuse and neglect in Sacramento County was projected at nearly $1 billion. Through a funding from the State Office of Child Abuse Prevention, Safe and Sound out of San Francisco reports this data for every single county in the state. And they calculated this one on Sacramento County's 2021 19,652 reports of child maltreatment. And you can see on the right the half a dozen categories that make up the nearly $1 billion. So not only is child abuse and neglect prevention the right thing to do, not only is family strengthening and child health and well-being a must to do, but if money matters and in decision making, this is the slide that we bring forth to evidence that. Getting back to our efforts to ensure parent and community voice in that 21st century triangle that I just showed you, at the core of that is obviously family and community. And how do we learn what family and community needs? Quite simple, you ask them. And we have become so much more diligent in this in the last years. You can see the impact and the information you all received from Community Voice and the development and the approval of your strategic plan, and those efforts are continuing now. We have had and continue to have almost, I think, a little over 24 community listening sessions to go ahead and to get input from parents that have been impacted by the child welfare system to inform our comprehensive prevention plan. They are unabashedly and rightfully so honest and direct about what it feels to them to have their child taken away, and to be given minimal resources at that point to go ahead and to do what they need to do and what they want to do to make certain that their family can become whole again. We have parent advisory boards at our family resource centers that guide our services that are provided. We have had focus group to develop program models, and I don't need to share with you again the importance of that when it has come to our Safe Sleep Baby model. We have community representatives that sit as part of the prevention cabinet. Prevention Cabinet also has a community engagement subcommittee. And I want to go ahead and also talk about our children's report card, which will be presented to the Board of Supervisors on April 11th, and the importance of those town hall meetings in informing what was measured in and what the community feels about the services in our county. So once again, I welcome you to join us this Friday and wear blue. And thank you so much for your support of the efforts within this county to ensure that families are strengthened and children are protected. And what better month to thank you, than Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Great, thank you. Julie.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much for stepping in for Sheila and giving that excellent presentation. So inclusive of all the work that's been going on, and just it feels like it's just ramping up. It just gets better and better and better as time goes on. I did want to acknowledge someone we have in the room with us today, which is one of our parent representatives joined us. If she's still here, yes. Jennifer, could you stay on, please? Thank you. She looks just like a deer in the headlights. Jennifer is, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer Muhammad is one of our community reps, voting member of the Prevention Cabinet. One of 3 that we have right now, but I think we're getting ready to onboard a couple more. Yep. Jennifer's also one of our advisory committee members.
And may I add that Jennifer was just recognized with a state Child Abuse Prevention Leadership Award. We submitted her nomination and you were selected, so congratulations to you on that. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Any questions by commissioners? Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public sign up to speak on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, very good. Next item, please.
Next item, item number 13, presentation fiscal year 21-22 annual evaluation report.
We have a familiar face for our evaluation reports. We're welcome and joined by Jordan Khatib.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, commissioners. Good afternoon. I will be presenting today the data and results from fiscal year 21-22. Which should be coming up. There it is. And is also included in your packets, as well as the executive summary, which really gives a nice graphically designed, short and snappy version to be able to give you all of the highlights as well. I want to just sort of frame us, because I know, especially for the commissioners, we have been talking about the new strategic plan. So I wanted to bring us back to the current strategic plan and just talk about really quickly the 3 priority areas that we will be detailing in the report that you are looking at today. The 3 priority areas from the current strategic plan include health, early care and learning, and empowered families. And within those, there are 7 result areas that comprise both direct service goals as well as purely systems results as well. So we will be going through the highlights of the past fiscal year with you today. As a reminder for the commission, we measure and evaluate using an RBA, or results-based accountability model. And the main tenets of the RBA model are the questions: how much did we do? How well did we do it? And is anyone better off? And that's really the impact section of our evaluation that we really place a lot of importance on. Within each result area in the annual report, you will see county-wide measures as well. These are measures that these services and systems change efforts that First Five puts forth are trying to move the needle on. And what's really especially important with these types of evaluations are to be able to recognize what's working and strengthen areas that seem to be more challenging. And so it's really important to have these sort of annual report reviews every year. In addition, I wanted to emphasize First Five Sacramento's commitment to equity within every section of the annual report. And so you will see where possible, where data allows us to, especially for countywide measures, we do separate that out by race with the intention of identifying areas that need more support. So Commissioner Wirtz had the great conversation today about African American child deaths that I think is really important and also further emphasizes First Five Sacramento's commitment to equity on a yearly basis as well as in the bigger picture long term. So going right into some of the numbers, this is overall reach across all of First Five Sacramento's programs. And I'd also like to make clear too, this is for direct services. So First Five Sacramento likely impacted hundreds, if not thousands of more individuals with their systems work. But what's able to be measured is that over 5,000 children were served by a First Five program, and over 8,000 caregivers were also served, and almost 300 providers. And what's also really exciting is that 10% of families engaged in 2 or more service program areas. So for example, a family who might be attending school readiness playgroups with their young child may also attend events at a Birth and Beyond Family Resource Center. And that really emphasizes First Five's goal of being as inclusive as possible, and as discussed earlier about trying to have whichever door a family enters, that they are able to be guided to services that will help them the most. So looking for that number to even increase further as those efforts continue on. In addition, this is just looking at First Five clients overall. 30% of clients primarily spoke a language other than English, and First Five Sacramento is consistently serving larger populations of both Hispanic, Latino, and Black African American families than county-wide percentages. At intake to any of the First Five programs, families are provided with what we call a family information form, or an FIF. And this really serves as a gauge to see what services and supports families may be especially in need of, and then also can be used to demonstrate impact if families show change after participating in programs. So at intake, when just starting a program, 74% of families were able to handle stresses of parenting, and 76 played one-on-one with their child 5 or more times per week. Those are really great areas of strength that we're seeing families already doing. Some areas that may need more focus or concern especially include the less than half of families who read together with their children at home 5 or more times per week, but also 66% who know what program to contact for help with basic needs. That's definitely an area that First Five programs are able to assist families with, and same with the 57% who had recently used food or nutrition resources. That can be increased even further for families who may not know or may have barriers to being able to enroll in those types of programs if needed.
Jordan, before you continue, and I apologize, I should have asked this from the outset of your presentation, but because this is a report from 21-22, how much of this information is still pandemic influenced?
It's a great question. I would say quite a bit. So, as you know, the pandemic was still in full force. It really still is impacting us, especially as just mentioned that Sheila Boxley's out because of COVID. It's still having a huge impact on our families. One thing that has changed, especially even in this fiscal year that we're reporting on, is that many of the services that were forced to move to virtual during the prime time of the pandemic, 2020, 2021, have now moved back to in-person. Other insights that I can share related to that as well is that some services have adopted, or some grantees have adopted a sort of hybrid approach where they've learned that some of their families really like the virtual services. They're more accessible to them. They don't have to go somewhere to attend. And so some grantees are serving both in-person and virtual as well. So I would say that COVID definitely had an impact here. It will be interesting to see this current fiscal year's report to compare, especially numbers at intake, to see if they're improving.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to go priority area by priority area, and the first of three is health. And I'm not going to belabor this one too long because this is the exact chart that Commissioner Wirtz showed earlier today in conversation, and you have seen this in the reduction of African American child death report as well. But I do just want to emphasize that all of the RAACD work is included in this health priority area. And you can see that we are seeing that troubling increase that I agree with Commissioner Wirtz on, that I do believe that systemic change is really needed here to be able to move the needle in a large scale. Also, I'm going to just kind of breeze over the RAACD results as I have already come to you to present that report to you. This is the same data that you've seen before, but just as some really exciting highlights, the Black Mothers United program provided pregnancy coaching to 162 African American pregnant mothers, and there were 0 newborn deaths for the 3rd consecutive year, which is very, very exciting. And in addition with that program, there was also 0 deaths infant deaths up to 1 year of age for the 3rd consecutive year as well. For the Safe Sleep Baby campaign.
Could I just interrupt if I could,
Please.
Chair? I think we have to, just take note of this program has reduced and eliminated African American infant deaths for those moms that they served. Now, these are small numbers, but the point is, we have a program that is working. Perfect is not quite the right word, but it has produced no infant deaths, and that's incredible. The problem is there's 2,000 African American babies born in Sacramento County a year generally, and we're only serving about 100 to 200 of them. Mm-hmm. I just want to highlight we have a program that works. It does exactly what we want it to do, and we just need to be able to expand it to work in the county. So I just can't help but stop and recognize our successes when they have this profound outcome. It's small numbers, and we have other great outcomes that are related to it and how women have trust in the systems that they participate in and so on. But just to highlight that again.
Thank you.
Dr. Kassiri?
And I agree with Commissioner Wirtz that these are small programs, but they are effective. Also wanted again to acknowledge the importance of factors outside of our control, things in the system, things like what happened with COVID, economic downturn. All those do have an impact on the general outcomes for the county. I did want to highlight something that I'm kind of surprised you did not put in your PowerPoint, which is when you look at your report, I think it's figure 17 that shows that our program, or at least the data shows that we were able to completely eliminate the disparity with abuse and neglect homicide. To me, that was like awesome. It does highlight one thing, is that there are things that we can do, especially in working with families, that will help to make a huge change. It's just that there are other, for example, with perinatal conditions, sometimes it's more complicated, but I just wanted to make sure we highlighted that success.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Consirier.
Commissioner Gross.
I just have a quick question about the Black Mothers United numbers.
Sure.
When you say provided prenatal support to 162 women, does that mean 162 women stayed with Black Mothers United until their babies were born? Or are we also counting in this 79% people who did some but not the whole program, things like that?
Sure, that's a great question. And there are a lot more details in the RAACD report as well, but I can answer that for you. So 162 women were served by the Black Mothers United program. Overall, the Black Mothers United program has very, very promising completion rates, very high. I wish I had the exact number for you, but I can look it up and get back to you. So included in those 79% are those who we at least have data for their baby's birth outcomes. So we don't have data if for some reason the mother moved out of the system or we lost contact, but again, that was a very low number. Thank you. And I also wanted to address too about the child abuse and neglect homicide graph. That is extremely exciting. I didn't want to present too much data that you had seen before with the RAACD report, but I did not by any means mean to discount that, because it is absolutely staggering. The 93% reduction in disparity between Black African American children and all other races is something to kind of shout from the rooftops. So I'm glad you brought it up again. Thank you. Also, in the RAACD initiative was Safe Sleep Baby. We saw statistically significant improvements across a wide variety of both knowledge and behaviors for those who took the Safe Sleep Baby course. And we saw those improvements for both African American parents and caregivers and all other races as well. In addition, the Safe Sleep Baby distributed over 350 cribs to parents in need to provide a safe place to sleep their baby if they did not have one. Additionally, there was a larger public education campaign that happened that also was inclusive in the RAACD initiative. The campaign reached over 550,000 Facebook users in the Sacramento area and over 300,000 Instagram users. There was also a really exciting Juneteenth photo gallery that was presented as sort of large boards that was interactive, and you could walk inside the photo gallery and see pictures such as the one that's on the screen of real Sacramento moms, and from all accounts, it was very impactful and powerful as well. In addition to the RAACD initiative, but still within the health priority area, WIC, Women's, Infant, and Children, reached over 2,000 moms to promote breastfeeding. You can see that they provided helpline services, so these are like virtual over the phone, drop-in services, as well as lactation consultant consults. And 61% of mothers who were reached at the 6-month follow-up were exclusively breastfeeding, which are especially staggering results compared to statewide numbers and the Healthy People 2030 target for exclusive breastfeeding. There were also systems efforts that took place within the health priority area, including a service that provided both training and technical support to nursing staff for Medi-Cal mothers who were requiring early breastfeeding help, and so that was the early notification delivery system. There was also a public awareness campaign that took place around maternal mental health called Be Mom Aware, as well as maintaining positive relationships with the health systems to be able to further leverage efforts and resources. All right, priority area number 2, early care and learning. So what you may have remembered from prior years, PBM Plus has now changed its name to just PBM, and the full name is a bit of a mouthful, but Early Learning Partnerships Building Mindful Early Care and Education. They supported over 200 early educators, which then benefited 2,585 children. So their service is to the educators. Within that, there were over 100 ASQ screenings, which are developmental screeners, the Ages and Stages questionnaire, and the social emotional questionnaire version of the ASQ as well. 92% of those who engaged in long-term coaching showed improved assessment scores from pre to post. And we saw extremely positive results with retention for those who were in the long-term weekly coaching program. 100% of those completed at least 3/4 of their goals. Kindergarten readiness is the next service item that we'll talk about. So we see that school districts served 2,670 caregivers and over 3,000 children. School districts provided a variety of services, including play groups that encourages parents and their young children to meet other parents in the county, and also to promote social emotional development among their children. Over 2,000 children received those Ages and Stages questionnaire screenings, and among those, 12% were referred to additional services based on their score. Over 150 school staff received social emotional supports training, and almost 700 caregivers attended parenting education workshops. There were also a bunch of additional activities that couldn't make the list for this presentation, but that include text-based parenting education, which is actually really exciting, where parents can receive links to videos or other short clips that can give them ideas of things to do with their children, different family events, literacy support workshops, parent advisory meetings, and transition orientation with the goal of helping preschoolers transition into kindergarten. Additionally, 285 children attended summer camps that really work on preparing children for kindergarten. And so you can see that on the left, the bar with green shows which children were considered to be fully ready for kindergarten. And there were statistically significant increases here across all domains of the assessment tool that measures academics, self-regulation, and social expression among those children. Especially because transition summer camps are typically relatively short programs. It's very exciting to be able to see such impact from such a short time period. Help Me Grow received almost 800 calls to their call center and conducted over 400 ASQ and ASQ SE screenings. In addition, their family advocates who are home visitors, caseworkers, who provide more intense services, conducted 465 home visits with Help Me Grow clients. And system efforts also took place too. So there is a Early Care and Education Coalition, which First Five supported to adopt a comprehensive child care plan this year. Their First Five is actively engaged in multiple councils and task forces, as you can see listed on the screen, to help encourage systems change, and then also to help bring forth certain Issues in childcare access, which is a really big problem that many families experience and voice their concerns about having affordable quality childcare for their children. And so that was also an issue that First Five took up and promoted within county leaders and elected officials. And the final priority area, empowered families. The first funded grantee under this result area is Birth and Beyond. So Birth and Beyond, you will see their full annual report coming to you probably in August, but this is just those who were funded through First Five. So Birth and Beyond reached over 3,000 families with children ages 0 to 5. And every service that is listed in those circles are sort of one of the core services that Birth and Beyond provides. Home visiting as their most intensive initiative, then parenting education workshops, crisis intervention, and then CELS stands for social emotional learning and support activities, and that it sort of took over what they used to call enhanced core. So I will quickly go through each one of these. So we saw that 822 families received home visits. They're in the process of phasing out the nurturing parenting program and bringing in parents as teachers. They additionally have enacted the Effective Black Parenting Program and Healthy Families America. Within home visiting, we saw extremely positive outcomes regarding CPS involvement for those who engaged in at least 8 hours of Birth and Beyond home visiting and who came in with a recent substantiation. So before engaging in Birth and Beyond home visiting services, they had a substantiation with CPS. We actually saw a 0% recurrence from those families. As a caveat, sample size is very small, but we're excited nonetheless to see these positive results. And then for parenting education, the main sort of parenting education workshop is Make Parenting a Pleasure. And we saw statistically significant improvements overall in a range of parenting knowledge and skills, as well as an almost 70% completion rate of parenting education workshops. Crisis intervention is specifically for parents who are going through emergent situations to provide them with necessary case management and resources. We saw that 75% of parents reported that they had reduced their stress level after receiving services from crisis intervention. And also, the Crisis Intervention Service at Birth and Beyond implemented the Family Development Matrix for case management this year. And for the light touch CELS activities, these are typically seen as a gateway to bring parents into family resource centers to allow them to learn about the other services that they can receive as well. They also serve to reduce stress. These are things like support groups, fitness classes, art classes, things that can bring people together and increase their social skills, as well as learning about other services at FRCs. So on average, a person who engaged in CELS activities spent almost 10 hours, and then over a quarter engaged in more than 5 CELS activities during the fiscal year. And just to sort of bring life to this data and remember that all of these data represent a real person or real people who are receiving needed services. We have a quote here about Birth and Beyond home visiting that says, "Home visiting has helped me to feel understood, and it has connected me to programs that will help my children be successful in their development," which really is one of the major goals of Birth and Beyond. And then the final program that I'll talk about today for the third priority area is the Crisis Nursery. Crisis Nursery provides emergent care, both daytime or overnight, for those in situations where they may not have anyone else to watch their child and could potentially leave their child in an unsafe situation otherwise. Sacramento Crisis Nursery served 326 children coming from 234 families. Almost 60% of those had more than 2 stays at the Crisis Nursery, and 80 children received 421 overnight stays. So again, we're seeing children who are coming back to the Crisis Nursery multiple times. And almost 250 children received daytime childcare as well. The most common reasons for using the Crisis Nursery were employment. So these would be situations where they would drop off their child during the day, parental distress, or medical needs. And we saw extremely positive results in satisfaction among those who used the Crisis Nursery. So 99.6% said that Crisis Nursery kept their children safe and secure, and 98.8% felt better able to solve their crisis situation after participating in Crisis Nursery. And one final quote here for you. I brag about Crisis Nursery to strangers. It has really helped me to have more patience and give me a break when I need it. I am able to reset, she is able to reset, and that helps us have a better day at home. And so now, to close, I'm just going to talk about some of First 5 Sacramento's goals for the future. So as we've discussed at length today and throughout this whole year, the goal to continue to invest in systems work to make sure that we are able to impact as many people as possible, as well as advocacy work and really bring about policy change in those specific areas that are especially of interest for First 5. We will continue to assess and monitor programs using special studies to be able to do deeper dives into certain programs, to be able to highlight strengths and reduce roadblocks. We will continue to train and support staff on the Persimmon database, which is what we use for all of our data that First 5 records. The goals involve increasing ease of use, user friendliness, increasing data accuracy, and reducing mistakes or errors, and then also continuing to increase collaborative opportunities and make the evaluation data as accessible as possible to a wide group of people. And with that, I conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Great, thank you, Jordan. Very good information, very detailed as usual, and we appreciate it. Any questions for Jordan? Commissioner Wirtz.
I just want to highlight that the evaluation committee has worked with Jordan and her staff and the First 5 staff on these reports, and I just have to highlight that it's a long report and it covers a lot of areas, but I was going to say I wanted to highlight all did you see the success here, and look at this one is working, and so on. So I just want to say, one, thank you for being able to help us put some of this into numbers and demonstrate some impact of our programs. As you say, these are families and children that we want to see thrive. It's just worthwhile to dig into this at times. There are areas for growth, by all means. The family intake form match set for before and after shows some things that don't look as good as they should, but overall there is such a rich set of information about the school readiness piece was, I thought, it kept going with one program after another showing what was happening in those, and that transition summer camps is surprising, and I think it's partly that those families must get connected to the broader systems pieces. So there's a lot in that report. report. A lot of incredible work was done to get that. The service providers who are providing this information in proximity deserve incredible credit for learning and working with the system, and Carmen, who oversees its work, are all incredible pieces that make this worthwhile, and we just need to celebrate the successes that by doing this extra work, the hard work of collecting information about the incredible work that people are doing, just makes it something that we need to celebrate. So I just want to thank you for the presentation and mention that Dr. Kassiri said you did not cover nearly maybe 10% of what's in there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gordon.
Thank you. I want to echo what Steve said, but also give a real shout out to the county and county health, because a lot of this is trying to bring big systems together which have been used to operating relatively independently and have different languages and different metrics and all of that. But we've been really blessed in this county to have tremendous collaboration, and it's grown every year for the last 6 or 7 years that I can recall. And it's just to say it's making a huge difference, not only in what you reported on, but on many other things that are going on. So thanks to the leadership of the county, thanks to Julie and First Five, but the collaboration, I think, is really paying off big time for us. So thank you, Jordan.
The collaboration is astounding in this county, so thank you, Commissioner Gordon, for highlighting that.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Commissioner Turner-Johnson.
Yes, I also want to echo all of the thank yous and honoring the work that's done. And I just wanted to highlight one thing. In Figure 20, and it's in your report, of course, so this is in no way a critique. In Figure 26, it shows, and given that this is, from previous year, a declination also in a decline in visits to the dentist. And in honor of our former commissioner who was a dentist that I was proud to serve with, I just want to make mention that no doubt it was COVID related, and somewhat in tandem with the overall state, decline as well. It was as much as 10%, and I think knowing what an importance a children's oral health has on their cognitive abilities and ability to attend at school, I just wanted to add it, that it would be part of record today, as it is so well described in your report. So thank you again for all your work. Appreciate
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Jordan? I don't see any. We don't have to take any vote on this. It's listed as a presentation on our agenda. So again, thank you, Jordan, for all your hard work and for joining us this afternoon. All right, our last item for this afternoon's agenda are commission member comments. Not seeing any to my right nor my left. Any comments from our executive director? All right. Very good. Well, this has been a fulfilling meeting. Lots of good stuff. A lot of substantive actions taken today with regards to the budget and strategic plan, and hearing about our successes and noting our continued progress and need to stay focused on the important charge that First Five has, working with its community partners. So with that, if there's no further business before this commission, we stand adjourned.